Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of HIGHERHER, a podcast put on by Talent Collective. I'm Krista. I'm one of the co-founders of Talent Collective, and this is
Natalie, co-founder.
Yeah, and today we have a very special guest here today with us. Her name is Chasity. And Chasity was introduced to us by a fellow Talent Collective member. She has been in the world of career for at least probably like 5 to 7 years now, doing a lot of career counseling and helping job seekers. And now she's at a company as a quote unquote hiring manager, but most of what she does is recruiting. So I'm really excited to talk with Chasity today. She also has a crazy, massive following on LinkedIn. And I'm just blown away and so impressed by how she's built that in so few years. So we could probably talk about that for a good hour, but we'll let Chasity take it away. So Chasity, introduce yourself and tell us all about you.
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Chasity, and I reside in the great state of Alabama and have been in the career space, career coaching for over 4 years. And then transitioned into recruiting and have been doing that for just about 3 years now. Currently getting to live out my dream by getting to help recruit in the sports arena, doing sports data recruiting. And so absolutely love that. I'm currently working as a hiring manager in that capacity. So I oversee all of our sports, so football, baseball, and basketball. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for being here. We're excited to get to know you a bit more and have all of our listeners get to know you as well. So I'm going to actually start off on a question that might be a little more vulnerable. So we love to chat with our guests on this podcast about real things that happen in real life and not just keep it all rose-colored glasses. So would love to hear from you a challenge that you've had to overcome in your life, whether that was personally or more on the career side. So what was that challenge? How did you overcome it? And maybe, what were some of those lessons?
Yeah, definitely. A great question to kick things off with and the vulnerability here. But actually something that I've overcome in my lifetime. I lost my father to murder at the age of 13. And, just going through that at such a young age, didn't know really what to say. Friends didn't really know what to say to me because they were still young, and it was hard for all of us to process. And, my mom and my family were grieving themselves, but something that my mom did that truly helped me and just made such a lasting impact was that she put me in therapy, and just having that space to be able to go and talk to someone about how I was feeling and, really work through the grief that I was dealing with was super helpful. And having that experience made me want to go into counseling and become a therapist myself. As we can tell from the intro, that ended up not being, the path for me, but I still earn a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in counseling psychology. And I feel like, I'm able to use that in the spaces that I'm in today. And mental health advocacy is something that I'm all about and absolutely love using my platform to share about mental health. I believe it's really important, in the personal space, but also to be talked about in the workplace as well, because it just impacts so many people.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, Chasity. That is something very vulnerable and something that not many people have to deal with, especially at such a young age. So really appreciate you sharing that. And, you were talking about how at that age, your friends didn't really know what to say to you. I think even as adults, we don't know what to say, right? It's something that great of a loss is not something that many people have to deal with. And so, yeah, just my heart goes out to you, and sounds like you've been able to use it for good and to be able to give back and pay it forward. And I think that's the most you can hope for out of such a horrible, devastating time. So thanks for sharing that.
No problem. Thank you.
I can definitely resonate with you as, the counseling journey, the career counseling journey to now being in recruiting. Actually, both of us, we went to grad school for career counseling, and we now here are recruiting and now doing community life. So I definitely share the same journey with you. But I'm curious, how do you feel that you are kind of living that female empowerment now in the role that you're in? And I'm also just curious more of what does it really mean in the role that you're in, the sports, and you said the data? Can you clarify a little bit more? Sports data. So how do you feel as a female empowered in the role that you're in, sports data? I mean, I'm trying to piece it all together. I'm so fascinated by it.
Absolutely. And, just historically and even currently, the sports space is predominantly a white male space. And so, just being in the type of position that I'm in, I feel absolutely honored. And one of the things that I've gotten to do since I've been with this company is I've been able to help when it comes to, our DE&I efforts and strategies. So just even sharing my experience, I started out with the company as a college football scout, more of an entry-level opportunity that we provide for people. And, just in sharing that opportunity, I had several females reach out to me asking about how I got in there and about, wanting to do something like that, but not really knowing if they would be able to, or, just having the capacity or the ability to do so. But getting to share my story with them was super inspirational to several of the ladies. And we ended up having some really huge impact on our diversity hires, just through strategies and talking things through, because, in a lot of spaces, there are people that don't have access to the same types of resources. And so just mentioning things like that as we're conducting resume reviews and interviewing individuals. So I've been able to really get to step in and help out with things like that. And that has really, empowered me in this industry. And I hope that it has in turn empowered the ladies that we've been able to hire as well.
Very nice. Well, thank you. I have more questions about empowering women and specifically in this industry. So is there a woman in the recruiting field or career field that has really empowered you and helped you along in your career journey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As taking the time to think about something like this, the first person that pops into mind is Krista. I absolutely love following her platform. She has her own following and calls it Get Me Hired Christy. She really, empowers individuals who, don't even have college degrees, letting them know that there are still opportunities out there for them and how to utilize their transferable skills, how to talk those up when it comes to their resume, talk those up when it comes to interviewing as well. And she has been someone who I've connected with, on LinkedIn, and she actually ended up helping me land an opportunity after I got laid off myself in March of 2023. And it, really helped me out during that time. And she's just been someone who's just continued to encourage me, to inspire me with all she's doing. She currently has 2 LinkedIn learning courses now. So just every time I see her doing more things, like I just continue to cheer her on, and she's done the same for me. So she's really empowered me in this journey and, inspired me along the way.
Well, we'll have to get her on the podcast someday. So hopefully we can have her on. This wasn't a planned question, but you were talking about like her content and that really inspiring you and even helping you in your career journey. On that note, would love to hear about your content. What do you post about and how have you created such a following just in these last few years?
Yeah, I can definitely say the following really started whenever I was working with the Google project with the staffing organization I was working with. So just sharing about the opportunities that we had for software engineers, and then really turn things into more so wanting to put out information to help individuals, because there's so many questions that came flooding in about, I've been applying to these types of opportunities and I haven't been able to get my foot in the door. What do I need to do? So just sharing things like job search strategies and sharing things about, how to enhance their resumes and LinkedIn profiles is actually something that I've continued to do, even in the absence of being in that opportunity. I now have a few other recruiters that we do these monthly LinkedIn live events where we get on and just share information and answer Q&As. And that has been a way for me to be able to give back and utilize my platform to help out other people. And as I also mentioned, I love to talk about mental health advocacy. So I've been able to share my own mental health story on there, and also, attending events like the Out of Darkness Walk for Suicide Awareness has been something that I've gotten to share as well. And I've had individuals who've messaged me and shared their stories with me. And it's just so inspiring and encouraging to see individuals reaching out and being vulnerable in those types of spaces, and, where they previously weren't able to do so or didn't feel comfortable sharing.
I have one more question before Natalie goes. What are your thoughts? So you said, a lot of what you post is about job search strategies and even, like candidates getting noticed right now. So, I think any recruiter out there can resonate with the fact that there's a million qualified, applications coming through on your job postings overnight. A lot of candidates are using AI to, match their profile with the job. And so it's becoming increasingly more difficult for recruiters to really weed through and see, okay, who's actually qualified for this role. What are some things that you recommend candidates do to really stand out and get themselves noticed?
Yeah. One of the main things that I talk about for sure is tailoring your resume. And, when it comes to that, there are individuals who, are mentioning applying to hundreds of different opportunities. And it's really not the best if you're using that same resume, you're wanting to have a master document that you can, kind of plug and play with the information and be able to really speak to those different roles that you're applying to. Say you're applying to customer service in maybe a healthcare industry as opposed to customer service in the sports industry. You're wanting to really speak to different skills in those different spaces. So being able to tailor the resume is something that I believe is super important because it can really help you to stand out. As a recruiter or a hiring manager, we're looking to see that you're qualified for the role, or we're looking to see those transferable skills that would be able to, get you that opportunity and we feel like you would be successful in. As recruiters and, even hiring managers, especially recruiters, though, they're advocating for you, like speaking up about your skills and the abilities that you have when it comes to your resume and giving that recruiter something that they can talk about as far as, sending you on up to the hiring manager or moving you along the process is super important. So just making sure that you're utilizing your resume and LinkedIn profile to the best of your abilities when it comes to speaking to the skills that you have.
I'd love to go back to the industry in general. I'm just so fascinated by it. How do you think women can help empower more of a movement in getting more females and leaders growing within the industry or making a bigger impact? And doubling down on that, how do you want to go about making a bigger impact there, if possible?
Definitely. Yeah. So something I'm huge on is connecting with people. I love doing things like coffee chats. So I have people who reach out and, message me and just want to talk about my experience or how I got started in the industry. And I absolutely love doing that. I love hearing their stories and seeing the passion that they have behind wanting to come into the industry themselves. And I believe, just having those spaces available for people to do that is really something that can empower someone to take that opportunity to apply for jobs in a different industry that they might not have considered otherwise. And that has been something that has been super helpful for me as well. I've connected with several ladies in the industry and even had a coffee chat last week, and it went extremely well. And we ended the call letting each other know, like, hey, if there's anyone I can connect you with in my network, let me know. And vice versa. And so just having those people in the spaces that, are already connected, or those people who are in even different areas or different sectors can really be serving as mentors. Mentorship is something that's super important to me. So just always continuing to learn and continuing to network is super important when it comes to changing industries or even just learning more about it. I think, making sure that you're doing your research and networking and connecting with people is one of the best ways to empower yourselves. And for me, as someone who's in the industry, it helps to empower me as well, because I absolutely love seeing other people breaking into this industry and creating positive change.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, last question here. So what qualities do you believe are essential for women in leadership roles, and how can they cultivate those qualities?
Great question. One of the main ones that I can think of for sure is emotional intelligence. And I think that is important for any leader. It, helps with the self-awareness in times of stress and motivating regulation and things like that. And I think, knowing when your team might need a break or might need some additional help. As I mentioned, talking about things like mental health, my company does mental health days. And I absolutely love it. We per quarter, and it doesn't count against our PTO time or anything at all. And I have a female leader above me, and she's always reminding me, like, if I ever get overwhelmed or I'm just needing a day off, she's like, you have this, and it's something that we can take at a moment's notice and, not have to share what's going on, but just be like, I need a break. And I think emotional intelligence is something that leaders truly do need to have, because there are a lot of people in different spaces right now with so many layoffs and things that have been impacting the staffing of different companies. They're taking on so much more extra work, and so knowing when your team needs that additional support is super important. And also, as I mentioned, mentoring. I think, having leaders who can serve as mentors for you, who want to invest in your professional development, who want to see you grow. That is something that I've always truly admired in the spaces that I've been in, being able to learn from those above myself, and then being open to doing something like that, and not seeing it as someone who's eventually trying to take your job or anything, but seeing it as a way to empower that person and help them to be the best version of themselves in the professional setting.
Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Your story was very, very awesome and unique, very different for our podcast. So we appreciate you spending some time with us. And for everybody tuning in, be sure to like and subscribe. We are on all of the major podcast channels. You can find us on YouTube if you're looking for the video version. Until next week, we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Chastity.
Thanks, Chastity.
Thank you guys for having me.
Have a great week.
You too.